Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Abagail. Abagail is an Americanized respelling of the name Abagail, a name with Hebrew origins. From an etymological perspective, the Hebrew Avigayil means father's joy or my father is joy. Abigail is a name born from the Bible, specifically in the Old Testament. She first appears in 1 Samuel 25 verse 3 as the wife of a wealthy man named Nabal, and she was a prudent and a very comely woman, but her husband was churlish, and very bad and ill-natured. In other words, Abigail was both intelligent and beautiful. In fact, she's considered one of the most beautiful women in Jewish history. According to the Bible, David's servants watched over Nabal's shepherds and sheep, protecting them from harm while the shepherds were shearing Nabal's large flock in the desert of Carmel. Shortly thereafter, David sent a message to Nabal respectfully requesting supplies and provisions for his men in exchange for their efforts. But Nabal refused. Angered at this rejection, and taking it as a personal affront, David prepared his soldiers for battle intent on killing Nabal. Enter Abigail. Hearing of her husband's stinginess, she quickly amassed a large amount of food and supplies and raced to meet David with her offerings. In 1 Samuel 25 verses 23 to 31, Abigail begs David to forgive her naughty husband, for according to his name, he is a fool. Nabal is Hebrew for fool, and beseeches David not to take up arms against Nabal. David thanked Abigail, realizing that she managed to prevent unnecessary bloodshed, which would have been a sinful act in the eyes of Yahweh. When Abigail returned and told Nabal what she had done, his heart turned to stone. In other words, he died from a heart attack. Now with Nabal out of the picture, David sent a messenger to Abigail asking for her hand in marriage. Utterly humbled, Abigail tells the servant, "Behold, let thy servant be a handmaid, to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord." 1 Samuel 25 verse 41. In other words, Abigail sees herself as almost too honored to call herself David's wife, so much so, she's willing to subjugate herself to his servants. This type of modesty appealed to the dissenting religious groups of the 17th century, and so the Puritans adopted the name Abigail as their own. Interestingly, it is also a common name in 17th century literature for a lady's maid or servant, given the biblical Abigail's willingness to wash the feet of David's servants. She, and her name, essentially became symbolic of humility. Abigail is currently a very popular name among English-speaking nations. It's a top favorite in the United States and Canada, but it's also very common in Great Britain, Australia, and Ireland. The spelling of Abigail is not a common one. Personality of the girl name Abigail. Romance is the hallmark of the sixth personality. They exude nurturing, loving, and caring energy. Sixes are in love with the idea of love in its idealized form, and with their magnetic personalities, they easily draw people toward them. Like the number 2 personality, they seek balance and harmony in their life and the world at large. They are conscientious and service-oriented, and a champion for the underdog. These personalities naturally attract money and are usually surrounded by lovely material objects, but their human relationships are always primary. They thrive in giving back to others rather than being motivated by their own desires. This is when they achieve great things. Sixes are natural teachers, ministers, and counselors. Popularity of the girl name Abigail. Abigail is the traditional English spelling of this name. But many spelling variations have been invented over time, from Abigail to Abagail to Abigail and Abigayle. Although none of these has the staying power or success of the historically correct spelling, American parents are famous for putting their own unique stamp on names through spelling modifications. Abigail is one such example of this trend. This particular spelling appeared on the top 1000 list for the first time in 1999. In other words, this is a very modern respelling or misspelling of Abigail. You be the judge. Abigail dropped off America's top 1000 list in 2010. In other words, not a popular spelling. It's an option for the non-traditional parent who doesn't mind presenting further confusion into the spelling mix of names. Quick facts on Abigail. Gender, girl. Origin, American. Number of syllables, 3. Ranking popularity, not applicable. Pronunciation, Abigale. Simple meaning, father's joy. Characteristics of Abigail: sensitive, humanitarian, affectionate, family-oriented, compassionate, community-minded, loving. Cultural references to the baby name Abigail.